Hello and welcome to another episode of the Plus 63 HP podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Clemente. Alongside with me are two of my best friends, starting with your screen left, CHUBAX. How are you doing?
Good weekend, fun weekend. Happy to be here. Keep
Yep,
going.
same here. Middle of your screen, all the way from the West Coast. Arnie, how are you doing?
Yeah, a little bit of insomnia, but I'm doing good.
We're all either have too much or too little sleep. And yes, if this is your first time in our channel, thank you very much for the view. This is the Plus 63 HP stable of podcasts where we talk about a bunch of stuff around fandom. And in this particular episode, this is our reviews episode where we deep dive into a particular TV series, or in this episode, a movie. Very light-hearted, bright, delightful movie. But all of our other contents include a D&D campaign, our very, very first D&D campaign, where a couple of middle-aged guys and a young lady play Dungeons and Dragons. We record it, send it out to YouTube and podcast for posterity, and hopefully you can join in the adventure as well. We also have a reacts program where we have a curated list of trailers, featurettes, video clips, etc., about upcoming content that's coming down the pipe, and then we gauge how hyped we are about that particular content coming with a plus or a minus. That is pretty much a bunch of our content coming out almost every single day. And if you want to be informed, again, hope you like and subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/plus63hp. If you want to see how the sausage is made, we are also streaming our recording on Twitch on the weekends between 9 and 12 morning Philippine time, morning Eastern Standard Time, evening Philippine Standard Time. You'll see our D&D campaigns being streamed on Saturdays and all of our other content being streamed on Sundays. So that's twitch.tv/plus63hp. You can find us in your favorite podcasting app. Just search plus63hp. And you can also follow us on socials with our handle at plus63hp. Housekeeping done. This episode, we are discussing the American horror filler film written and directed by Osgood Perkins, starring one of our beloved actors, Nicolas Cage. LongLegs. Bit of stats before we get into first impressions. Again, it was written and directed by Osgood Perkins. Osgood Perkins was not only a prolific actor, but he is, has quite a number of films under his belt. Most of it on the again, horror, thriller, suspense genre as well. It stars Micah Monroe. She is mostly known for, uh, you know, uh, n-
Horror stuff.
we have horror stuff, like particularly It
It
Follows.
follows.
She was with the movie Fifth Wave with Chloe Grace Moretz. That's
Yeah.
fine.
The wave. My
Also in
God. Okay.
the most recent Independence Day Resurgence is there. But Netflix film Tao. Which she was also an executive producer. She was in Shia LaBeouf's Honey Boy. So a wide variety, but a lot of it is going to be more of the horror suspense genre. And as aforementioned, Nicolas Cage is there. There's Blair Underwood, Alicia Witt. This was released in the United States on July 12th. And then just recently, so end of August, was it released on digital. That's where, most of us saw it. It is a very tight 101 minutes long, so not even 2 hours. So that's good for this film. And let's take our guesses on the film's budget. Arnie, how much do you think the film used to make this?
Mm, 15 million.
Shabox.
Around 20.
20. Arnie wins. The
Ooh.
film was made under 10 million bucks. So it's 9 million
Wow.
something, right? So
Wow.
Wow.
framing it there, Pretty solid.
Not bad.
Not bad, pretty solid. And the box office tally came back at $103.5 million. So that's 10x. So when you
They
see
made money.
$100 million, that's not a lot, but the 10x the budget, that's really, really good. That's why I guess this has been critically acclaimed. So before we get into the synopsis, first impressions about the movie, CHUBAX.
Oh, I really liked it. Still a little shade of great of what I wanted, but I still really liked it and enjoyed it. And just to let you know, I watched this with Isabella and Kat.
Well, it's not that scary.
Yeah,
Ugh. But the subject matter.
yeah.
Okay.
Arnie.
It was well shot. I like the framing. I mean, talking technicalities and all that. I'm actually surprised it's 10 million. But
Yeah.
close enough. Close enough. I'm pleasantly surprised it's not really horror. Like, it's not those gross, gory
Yeah.
jump scares and all that stuff. So it felt more like a Silence of the Lambs procedural type. So I got into it eventually. Yeah. Jong, you froze.
Oh yeah. Like what's happening?
Hello?
Hello, you
Yeah.
froze.
You're froze. Your screen's there. You go. You're okay.
There you go.
I'm back. I'm back. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, continue, please. Are you done?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm done. I was done.
Yeah. No, we when I saw this, I was really intending to watch this in the cinema, hopefully with a date. But our schedules like never really connected about it. So we just had to watch it um uh on demand. So here's the thing. If I separate what I heard about the film from the film, it's a good film.
Oh,
But uh I distinctly remember a lot of tweets and reviews saying how awesome this film was. And it was the movie that took out one blockbuster from the top. Was it, if it wasn't Twister, it was something else. It was
Hmm.
oh, I think it was Deadpool. I think Deadpool was this was
Oh
taken
yeah.
down by Deadpool for a week or something, for one weekend. Um I forget, but uh the hype of the movie gave me full, like, higher expectations than I shouldn't have.
Oh,
So but that doesn't take away for the fact that the movie, like Arnie has mentioned, extremely well shot. When
right?
we were watching this here, I was like, "Oh shit!" The cinematographer was cinematographing
Yeah,
because
exactly.
every frame was
Well
I
intentioned.
well
Yeah.
intentioned. The static shots were super balanced.
Hmm.
The gimbal shots, the ones that are following shots, were super duper
The
straight. So
color.
Hmm.
the
The color
colors were
saturation.
great.
Color
Yeah.
saturation. Yeah.
So that made the film, yeah, more expensive than it looks. But
Hmm.
when we go to the synopsis, when I really think about it, it's not a lot of story in there. It's
Hmm.
it's a very, very short story. There's just a lot of long, drawn out silences in that
Yes.
movie. So that for my taste, because I don't like super fast movies, but slightly faster than this would have made it more fun for me. But I understand how other people really appreciate, like, being immersed in a scene. It's just like,
Yeah.
all right, for 30 seconds, you're just sitting down and looking out. So I was like, right. So that
Yeah.
was good. So
It's a slow burn. Yeah.
but it's still a fun movie. I think it's going to be like a great, like, horror movie date night somewhere at home. So let's dive into the synopsis, and then just, like, you guys just jump in. It's gonna be, again, very, very short, because
Hmm.
in essence the film has very, very few beats,
Hmm.
but it's 100 minutes. So we start off the movie in Oregon, 1970s, 1974 to be exactly, where there's this girl who we're gonna flash forward to be the Blair Underwood character. Sorry, the Micah Monroe character, named Lee Harker, the FBI agent. But she was a young girl. She had a Polaroid camera. Weird dude in pale makeup shows up, scares that little kid and his parents. So that's the start of the movie, right?
Mhm.
Flash forward to 1990s. That little
Oh,
girl is
just
now
wait
Lee.
before we go that. I love that. They immediately showed his face.
So good call, because the buzz around LongLegs was how, like, we don't see
In the
the
trailer, they don't show Nicolas Cage.
in the
Yeah.
trailer or even in the reviews. It's like, we don't see the killer. We know who the killer is. We don't
Mhm.
see him.
How or how he does it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we don't see him a lot. So
Mhm.
in my head, okay, right, we're gonna see it. Of course, naturally, you'll see the face of the killer at the end, right?
Mhm.
No, you're right. Straightforward. And then for the longest time, I didn't even know what the hype was around it. Then, oh, Nicolas Cage was the okay, got it. Right. So that was fun. So flash forward to the 1990s, present time. Little girl is now an FBI agent. She
Mhm.
starts to exhibit clairvoyance, ESP kind of stuff,
Mhm.
third eye kind of stuff in solving crimes, which is essentially kind of like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like my detectives, my FBI agents to solve crimes through vibes, but that's kind of what we're looking at, because there's a serial killer in in Oregon that they're trying to
Mhm.
go door to door and figure out. They have a profile, yada yada. And then Lee Harker just shows like, this is the house where the killer is. I know it. I don't know how. The partner, of course, didn't heed the warning, comes in, gets killed, yada yada yada. Lee Harker survives. That first serial killer gets caught. So
Mhm.
this puts Lee Harker onto the sights of a separate part of the agency,
Mhm.
where they were essentially looking for a different, like, multi-generational serial killer, satanic in nature, leaving letters in the death, signed long legs with glyphs as codes that they haven't
Mhm.
really deciphered yet. And it has been done in like 30 years. So Lee Harker gets drafted only because she exhibited these clairvoyances, and this particular serial killer that's spanning 33 decades, they're no close in finding this person. So fast fast forward again. Lee starts extremely diving into these codes, extremely diving into these glyphs, trying to connect the different symbols to the different dates of the deaths, and then also the kind of like format of how these families were killed. There's always like no sign of forced entry. Letter seems to be like left like after the deaths because they're unmanaged. There's always like a little girl as part of the
August
death. So it's
13.
always, yeah, almost 14, or it's either X days before, X days after the birthday of said little girl is all these that's happening. So
Mhm.
um with all of this, Lee and his partner kind of slash boss, Blair Underwood, playing Agent Carter, so his partner also superior, they follow clues that Lee starts to unsolve because, part clairvoyance, but also part just like being obsessing about puzzles and shapes. They follow a trail of clues um, to one of the murders in one of the farmhouses, and they kind of found that there was a doll in that
Mhm.
barn, that is immaculately made, handcrafted, real hair, etc., etc. But this was like buried somewhere in the second floor of a barn with just like glyphs pointing toward it. And that was only found out because a lot of the clues saying like, follow the X, yada yada yada. They had the doll autopsy. They found a high energy metal orb inside of the doll's head, in the brain section. Nothing in it
Mhm.
because X-ray shows that they're nothing. Um, But of course, Carter, the boss, says like, let's open it up, and then some black smoke comes out of it. And yeah. The B storyline around here is um we realized that Lee during or Carter realized that Lee, when they were younger, was also visited by somebody almost depicting what LongLegs looks like. And somebody filed a police report, and it was filed, and we realized that, oh, this might be the connection between Lee and Longlegs. That's why she was driven to this particular case. And after a bit of remembrance, because Lee doesn't really remember what had happened, Lee talks to her mom, tries to get a little bit more information, but doesn't get a lot of information. Instead, she gets a lot of bad vibes about this particular room in their house that she doesn't seem to have access to. She goes through, or Lee, again, further investigation, trying to remember her childhood, looks through her chest of memories, and then he realizes that, fuck, I fucking took a photo of Longlegs when I was young, when he first visited me before my 9th birthday, yada, yada, yada.
Mhm.
We also, and then this photo is given to Carter. They know what Longlegs looks like. They put out an APB, yada, yada, yada. But also, um, we kind of get alluded to the fact that Lee's mother is kind of involved in this, either hiding something or serving what we call the man downstairs, which is, and essentially we'll find out towards the end that that's where Longlegs' home base was. Um, Now that they have with the APB, regular cops find Longlegs in the middle of the street, presumably hopping on a bus outside, gets to the interrogation center, etc., etc. So now, while Longlegs is being in the precinct. So here's where my timeline gets a little bit wonky. Does the oh, so Longlegs gets
Interrogated.
interrogated first,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
then we realize that yes, they kind of knew each other. We kind of realized that um, Lee has some mental blocks, possibly because this was by design by somebody. And then uh Longlegs does a tirade type diatribe about uh his purpose, serving Satan, all the things that he did in service of, and then kills himself by bashing his face on the table.
Mhm.
Right. So that sucks because or one, that's good, they caught Longlegs. It seems that he did kind of kill those people, but no real proof, no real confession, and no real things to tie Longlegs to the murders.
Mhm.
So the superior Carter, Agent Carter, very, very upset. But because of the interrogation and knowing that Lee has been in contact with Longlegs when she was 9. Uh, she and another agent named Agent Browning returns back to Lee's mother's home for further interrogation to really understand what had happened, to really pry up, because now it's kind of almost certain that the mom of Lee has some portion in on with or some connection with Longlegs. When we get to the house, while Lee was looking for her mom in the house, Agent Browning, who was staying in the car, gets blasted with a shotgun.
Mhm.
Right. And then uh 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 the mom named Ruth uh now realizes when Lee also comes in, and then the mom was there too, we see that there was also a doll similar to what they found in the bar in one of the other families' murder, and the doll resembles Lee in the you know, in the living room, and then they're kind of realizing that this doll has some weird energies about to it. Um, so the movie is trying to let us know, like, is the doll the one that is killing the people? But essentially, it's not. Um, so what happens now is the mom, Lee, the mom, Ruth,
Shoots the
destroys the
dog.
doll,
Yeah.
and then Lee loses consciousness.
Mhm.
And then when Lee wakes up, she kind of like remembers and kind of sees, or that Ruth has been Longlegs' accomplice all throughout the decades, because we also know that Ruth was a nurse, and then
Mhm.
a nurse during those times, like in the 90s, or when she was starting in the 70s and 80s, their uniform looks like a nun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So she's the one that kind of pretends to be coming from the church and telling all of these families that the church has provided them with a gift for their daughter's upcoming birthday, which is a doll. And then we also realize that this doll has some form of demonic energy into it that kind of
Mhm.
influences the fathers, the patriarchs of the house, to commit family side and also commit their own suicide. So that is why there's always no evidence of external tampering or
I mean,
serial
even
killer
if
shit apart from the letter.
they went to trial, how are they gonna prove that he killed them?
100%, right? Um,
Oh, and just to let you know, Micah Monroe did confirm that there is a 24-minute happy birthday rendition by
Jesus
Nicolas Cage.
Christ.
so I think
Holy shit.
one of the reasons why this movie was so great, because they started, so maybe like a week after the movie came out, they started sending out the behind the scenes, and then it was super cool because Michael Monroe never saw Nicolas Cage prior to the interrogation scene. So all of our
Mm.
reactions were real, but also they this is premeditated though. They strapped a heart rate monitor to Michael Monroe, and one, Michael Monroe was selected because she has this uncanny way to be so calm. Like her resting heart rate is lower than normal. It's like 76 beats per minute,
Hmm.
right? So she's very, very chill. And then the one of the trailers were Michael Monroe's resting heart rate is 76 beats per minute. The moment that she saw Nicolas Cage in the interrogation scene, one take only, um, it shot up to 186, and it hovered the entire interrogation scene just only hovered around one at 140.
He was
So she was
aroused by
truly
Nicolas Cage.
terrified. Right. Yeah. But to kind of like cap off the movie, now we know that, um, or what is intended for us is like these dolls were made by Longlegs. The little metal orb contains some essence of
Satan,
Satan or the
probably.
demon that influences the fathers to kill everybody and kill themselves. And then when Lee realizes this and she wakes up in the basement, which is basement of her house, where we see now that that is where Longlegs has been headquartering, and then makes also those dolls. She realizes that, oh shit, it is Carter's daughter's birthday too,
Mhm.
right? And then there's a call on the phone, demonic voice warning Lee about Carter's daughter Ruby's birthday. So she
Mhm.
books it there. She finds the family. So kind of like this is kind of like, or this is real time what happens when the father and the family gets possessed. The doll is there. The daughter Ruby, super in love with the doll. She loves it. Both parents are kind of like wonked out of it. The mom is super subservient to the dad. The dad is going crazy. It's like, let's go back and cut the cake. Lee didn't want that. She wants to save it, but now we realize it's too late. Um, Carter already kills the wife, Anna, and then Lee had to shoot Carter to protect Ruby because she was about to
Sigmund
kill the
Freud
daughter.
believed that the power
Yeah. And then Ruth
Remember?
now is there too. She already delivered the doll to the family, and she was
Mhm.
gonna attack Lee as well with a dagger, a knife, and then Lee is now forced to kill her own mom. And then the movie ends with Lee trying to destroy the doll, but
Insurance
the
Adam.
gun does not fire.
Mhm.
Right. And then the movie ends with Lee trying to tell Ruby that they need to leave, but they're still staring at the doll as well. So that is LongLegs. Are any final thoughts, ratings, things that you like, did not like?
Well, like I said, I did like the how it's been shot, like the cinematography, right?
Mhm.
I did not like the long pauses because I saw this last week with the intention of waking up on Sunday, but of course I overslept because of that movie. I was falling asleep in some parts of the movie because of the long silences. So that's the one I didn't like. The subject matter was kind of depressing because as a dad, they're like, ooh, there's stuff like that. And Nicolas Cage could really play creepy chef's kiss. uh, I did not like Blair Underwood's accent. I don't know what accent he was trying to do there, but yeah, I was like,
Oregonian.
yeah,
Mhm.
because the Oregonians don't speak that way. I don't know, but anyways, like it was like a good. It's a harken back to 90s. There's no Google, so there's no AI or algorithm search for all those letters. So she did solve it on her own, ideally, right? And then the reveal in the end, like because they did play like a flashback and then explained how it's being done, right? So they showed the mom giving the prices and all that stuff. So like, okay, and then yeah, there's a lot of things left for the viewer to interpret, I guess. So final rating for me, I mean, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised because I thought it was just like one of those jump scare gore horrors. So I'd give it like a good solid 7 for me. So yeah, it's no Silence of the Lambs, but you know,
Shabak. Oh, wait, rating first.
7
6
out of 10.
7 he said.
Yeah.
Shabaks.
So for me, this is a little complicated. I was so excited for this movie, and upon initial watching, I was disappointed because I don't know how I feel about them making it supernatural, like the
Uh-huh.
demon. Because my real, I was hoping it's like more like 7, like just a real
Uh-huh.
killer and everything. So I would say after I initially watched it, I was around a 7. But after
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it and accepting it for what it is, I'll finalize it with an 8 because like the long shots, like Arnie said, there were some long pauses and stuff. But for me, I like it because it just added to the
Mm-hmm.
eeriness of everything.
Yeah.
Uh, Micah and Nicolas Cage were great. Alicia Witt was great. Makes me feel old that she's like the mom. I forgot where we've seen her, but we've seen her before. And then uh what was this? Yeah, just the interrogation scene, everything, just so creepy and stuff. And I did like how she was able to like almost like kind of solve it, but yeah, just I think it still takes a little bit that it was supernatural. Like you're not,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna figure that out, and there's
Yeah.
nothing about that. So that was
Yeah.
where my initial disappointment came from. But for taking it what it is, it's just like I kind of got the point that it's just that the evil will always be there. I think the director said that also, like in the end where she was gonna destroy it with the bullet and then she ran out of bullets. Like there's no stopping this, but
Meant to be.
it's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like it. I mean the shots alone, it was worth
Mm.
worth it to watch this for the shots alone. So I really like. In
Yeah.
fact, I watched his other movie also, like the Black Court's Daughter. starring who's the girl in
On Amazon Prime, I think.
Who's the girl in Sabrina? Kiernan Shipka.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she was here in
Shipka.
She was in Long Legs too, right?
You know, like, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that director uses Shipka all the time.
Yeah. So this movie is similar. I mean, even see on Twitter they couldn't. Some of the fans consider this like the prequel to the Black Coat's daughter, Black
Mm,
Coat's daughter. Yeah. So it's kind of the similar style and movie, but
mm,
yeah, I won't spoil it in case you'll watch it, John. But yeah, I'll give it a final 8, just because of all of the eerie atmosphere, the shots, Micah and Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Uh, I this is I'm gonna start with my rating is a 6.
mm,
Because for me, a lot of the things that I really liked about the movie was the shots.
mhm,
The story was a little too thin, and I'm never a big fan of it's all the devil,
mhm,
right?
Yeah.
So essentially, well, also admitting way in advance that it's, again, FBI agent being given these assignments because they can't figure it out the traditional way and they need somebody that has some extra sensory power. you know I wish that they were able to do a little bit more around
mhm.
that. I know there was like some detective work that has been happening, but even the detective work showed up like, oh, it's like an inverted triangle from Dante's Inferno, yada yada yada. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was not a big fan of how slow.
Um,
It's so beautiful, but it was taken down a notch for me because it was a little too slow.
yeah.
Um, it's not bad though. Like this is, I think, a super duper high 6 for me, a strong 6. Like
Mm,
push comes to shove, if there's like a nice house party and everybody wants to watch a lighter, a quicker horror movie, horror suspense movie that's not super duper gory,
mhm.
I suggest to put this on because it's just beautiful in the background. But yeah, that's the reason why I figured that it's going to be
Yeah.
a little bit lower on my end. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I'm sure they could have found a way to make the murders make sense. Like maybe a drug. The mom drugs them because she's a nurse. We have access to drugs, believe
yeah,
it or
maybe
not.
that's true. Like maybe there were like a few things that
Yeah,
you know
could have
could
made
have,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like you know could have been XYZ. So yeah, it's kind of weird for me to suggest that if we make it a little bit more realistic, it will take
Mm,
away from the supernatural part of it, right?
yeah.
But if we make it quicker, then the effect of the visuals become lesser too. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm in a quandary.
Yeah.
But in the end,
Yeah.
I
I think if this was released in the 90s, it would have had a bigger impact. Because, like I said, there's no Google. Everybody's more superstitious-ish, like kind of like Silence of the Lambs, right? But knowing what we know about law enforcement, how they solve crimes, like true crime is a genre basically now. People will be like, "Oh, well, that agent could have just called for backup or something like that, or they're about to interrogate a suspect. There's only two of them, and one of them is like a relative. There's all these other plot holes, but yeah, but like I said, it's beautifully shot. Will I watch it again? No. But yeah, but I agree with John. Like if it's like a not gory suspense, yeah, it's beautifully shot again. Uh, you know, yeah, it was good. I barely heard any music. Like, do you remember any music
I'm
on it?
sure there's some music there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because even like background music from the 90s, I didn't hear anything. The only thing that told me it was in the 90s was President Clinton on the in the office, right? That's the only clue I got. But yeah, and the thing is like they even like had this scene in like the mental like inpatient mental facility. Like that doesn't how things work. But okay, but I'll buy it, because I did work in
Yeah.
one, so I know. But yeah,
I think the last thing that I'd say before we close this episode out is um the acting of Micah Monroe,
Oh
solid,
yeah.
like very, very solid. Again, Nicolas Cage,
Well,
I think we're so desensitized to him by now. I'm not really that affected, but like Micah Monroe being this like kind of awkward, kind of like
mhm.
weird, serious. So you don't know whether she's part of it, not part of it. So I really enjoyed watching her on set
Yeah.
on screen as well. So
Yeah.
all right, well that is our discussion about long legs. I give it a 6. Chubax gave it an 8. Arnie gave it a 7. Yeah, give it a watch. I think it'll still be like a fun date night movie.
Yeah.
Uh, last goodbyes, Arns.
Well, goodbye. Happy birthday, 24 minutes, and hail Hydra.
Well, hi. Chubax.
Yeah, like the movie, I'll be waiting for his next work. And yeah, see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you very much. See you next.